I'm really excited today because we're going to start our new history topic. We love our history in year 3. We enjoyed doing the Greeks in the first term, and then we've just recently learned about World War II. So you can see from the books that I've put here for you to look at that our new topic is going to be all about the Aztec people. You might have heard of the Aztecs before. Now the first lesson actually is going to be set in Salisbury, and then we'll come back to the Aztecs in lesson 2, and you'll realise why we're doing that as we go along. So I'm going to start by telling you a legend which is going to explain why Salisbury Cathedral, the cathedral that we know, was built where it was. So 800 years ago, there was a settlement, a place where people lived called Old Sarum. And I'm sure you've heard of Old Sarum. And it's on the north side of Salisbury as you're driving out towards Amesbury. So Old Sarum was the original settlement, which was built up on a hill, and it had a castle. And I think you can spot here that from the air, you can see the outline of where the cathedral was. This was the old cathedral, which is now not there, and this was originally the cathedral in Salisbury. But 800 years ago, they decided that this wasn't a very good site. It wasn't suitable anymore for worship. They had quite a few problems up there, and they wanted to choose a new place to build a new cathedral. So there's a legend, and it tells us that from the walls of Old Sarum, they were going to fire an arrow, and wherever the arrow landed was where they would build the new cathedral. I'm sure we know this must be a legend because the arrow couldn't have been fired too far, but the legend tells us that the arrow was fired and then it landed sadly in a deer's body, and the deer was obviously wounded, and it travelled for a mile or so before it died, and so it would have been hit near Old Sarum. It would have travelled a mile or so, and then it died just where the new cathedral is in Salisbury, the one that we know today. And this all happened 800 years ago, right? So what I'd like you to do is finish off this sheet, which you'll find in your brand new history book, and it's called The Legend of the Arrow and the Deer. And you'll see Old Sarum on one side, and you'll see the cathedral that we know today on the other. And remember, this is a legend from 800 years ago. So what I want you to do is draw the arrow being fired from the edge of Old Sarum. It'll go through the air. You'll draw a deer with the arrow landing in it, and then you'll perhaps show some arrows to show that the deer died over here where the new cathedral was built at that time in a place called Mary's Field. And because it was near the river, it was going to be a wonderful place to build the new cathedral, right? And the reason we're doing this in our first lesson about the Aztecs is that it tells us why a settlement, why a town was built around a place by a legend. And in the next lesson, we're going to find out that the Aztec people built a city, and the place they chose to build that city was because of a special legend. But that's for next time. So I hope you enjoy drawing in the extra information to show the legend of the arrow and the deer. And then underneath, I would like you to try and write some sentences to retell the story that I've just told you on this video about how the arrow was fired because they wanted to find a new place to build a new cathedral. So I look forward to hearing and seeing how you get on with this, and then we'll have our next history lesson in a day or two. Okay, thanks very much.